What's going on, everyone? Welcome, Rabid here, and in my possession we have Canaan's latest Bitcoin miner. I do believe this one right here is the A1566. It does sound like it got a recent hash rate boost. It was supposed to be only about 185 terahash or so, but I do believe it's upwards of around 212. So obviously we'll be checking all that out as well as power consumption. But first, we got to open this box. So I guess we better get to it. And inside that box was yet another box. And here we go. We got the Canaan A1566. So this is pretty much everything you get in the box. We have our miner here, 2 fans. Now look how big these fans are. These are freaking huge. Like, those are some deep fans. Now there's only 2 fans on the front. The back doesn't have any like most of the other ASICs do out there. Here is the power cable, but as you can see, I got my own here. They did send me out some other ones when I was trying to find the proper cabling, but this is to some European type of plug. If it'll focus here, there we can see there kinda. So I don't know what this plug is called or anything, but it's not for anything in North America. But this is your power cable. I want to run through the power cable right quick. So I got 2 power cables, as you can see, and they look pretty close to the same at first, but if you really look at them, you can see they're actually a little different. Now this one here on the left, this is a P13. I do believe they're both P13s. I don't know the variants, but the one on the left here that's enclosed, that's actually a Bitmain plug. So that's for the L9s, S21s, and everything like that. Where this guy right here, you can see they're not enclosed and they're actually sticking out. This is for Canaan miners, so don't get them mixed up. Make sure you do have the proper cables for your miners here, but people have tried to cut the Bitmain versions down to this and they don't lock and fit the way they should be. So keep that in mind. You do need the proper cables, and for Canaan, it is the one sticking out here. And just looking up close, you can get a kind of idea of what the actual plug on the miner side does look like. So let's run through the specs of this miner. So this is the A1566. It was supposed to be 185 terahash, but with the overclocking profiles and everything that is within this miner now, we can see a hash rate boost upwards of 212 terahash. We'll see what it looks like when I actually test it out. The power consumption is supposed to be around 3,420 watts, plus minus 10%. We will definitely be checking that out. Power efficiency is 18.5 plus minus 5% joules per terahash. I like to use gigahash to watts here, so we'll see what my numbers are looking like. This does run off 220 to 277 volts with a frequency hertz range of 50 to 60 and a 22 amp max AC current input. Now the fans are 2 by 12,050 RPM. So that's why they're looking pretty big there, is these are some big, high powered, really fast spinning fans. All right, so I'm gonna get this thing set up right soon so we can see the dashboard and check some noise levels and stuff. And I'm assuming this thing is going to be pretty loud. But before we see this, I shut off all my CPUs. I do have the AL box 2 down there. Plus, I think that one is, it's still running. Coming into our power here, we are at about 472.3 watts or so. So 472 is pretty steady there. So we'll just subtract that from any type of power that we see to get an idea of how much power this miner is drawing. So one more thing I do want to point out before I plug it in is on the Canaan plug we see right here, there's no groove on either side like we see with the Bitmain plug. So here you can see it only goes in one way because they have a groove, but the Canaan one does not. So make sure you line up the colors with the proper colors when plugging this in. So don't get them all mixed up here. Don't actually have it upside down because everything will be all messed up. So make sure everything does line up. All right, so I needed a little bit more height to get it to reach my plug here. As we can see, I used some bricks, the KS0s. They are good for something. You can use them to prop up your Bitcoin miners if that's something you need to do. So, you know, a great use here. I also have my decibel meter, so we will be testing out how loud this thing is. It's plugged in, not turned on yet. We can see the green light. So I'm gonna turn this thing on and we'll see what happens. So there's a little switch here. On. All right, so let's see how loud this thing is. So it is looking about 91.6, 93 when I'm talking and stuff, but it's not the quietest. So far, this is probably the loudest miner I've had. So let's jump into the dashboard now and try to set this thing up. All right, so checking my router, it does look like Avalon F33 F1B did detect right here. So I'm just going to punch this IP address into my browser and we get this. Now, I'm not sure what Avalon stuff is here. So let's just go root and then root again, see if that's the case for Avalon. And yeah, so that obviously worked nice and easy. So if we come into configuration here, we can see it defaults to DC F2 pool. We got, so F2 pool on all the stratums here. It doesn't have anything set up, pool 1, pool 2. So it's not working. It does look like a work mode. We have high performance and power mode. So I will try both of those ones out, obviously, to see what they do. But for now, I'm just going to stick this on solo mining because this is obviously, you know, a more efficient super solo miner. Obviously, we're not going to make anything. We're going to be burning a lot of power until we hit a block, if we even hit a block. But that's just what I'm going to do because I like gambling. So why the heck not? So I'm coming into via BTC here. I pick my stratum. So I'm just going to come into my device. I'm going to pick that right here. I don't know if we need them all in. I guess we'll find out once I get rid of these. Now I got to add in my worker name and pool stuff. So they're all blank by default. So I'm just going to go Rabid mining and then A1566. And we shouldn't need a password. I'll put an X there just in case. But I'm just going to save that like so. Save successfully. Need reboot manually. Okay, so we're just going to go to the reboot tab on the left. Are you sure you want to reboot? Okay, so now it's rebooting device. I can hear it in the background ramping up. So when it reboots here, we should get a pool connection, hopefully, if I did this right. All right, so it does look like we do have a connection. Mining status says fine. Network status says 220 milliseconds. You know, that's actually, it's nice that usually ASICs don't tell you your latency. So that's actually pretty high, especially if you want to be solo mining. So this is good to know finally here. I might have to use a different pool to be solo mining me. So, oh, it just went down to 88. So we'll see what happens over time here. But yeah, I never did a stratum ping to via BTC before. Here we can actually see our power. So we'll obviously see how accurate this is versus what we're getting at the wall. We're getting some hash rates, average hash rates and everything. So everything does look like it is working fine. I don't see where we can see fan status right here. Never mind. Our fan RPMs are right there. And then obviously we have all our temperatures for our chips and stuff right here. So looking pretty good. Dashboard is pretty basic and simple to check out. Obviously on the left, you have your reboot, upgrade, change your password and stuff. You got your system log, your network. Obviously, I'm not going to click on network or you guys will try hacking me with all the information it'll provide. And then obviously you just got your simple configuration, which was pretty easy to set up here. So now I'm just going to wait for a little while and make sure we are detected at the pool and check some power consumption. All right, so coming into the pool right quick here, we can see A1566, you know, 10-minute average, nothing there yet, but we are detected. If we come into the dashboard, previously I was like, what, 1.9 to 2 terahash or so. Average one day is 2.02 terahash, and we're seeing a spike begin. So we are starting to mine. We are detected. We're going to have to give it some time here so that we can see some hash rates. All right, so here we are. It has been about an hour and 16 minutes and 48 seconds. I'm just going to do a refresh here. Yep, continue. And okay, 1 hour, 16 minutes, 58 seconds. It is saying our power is about 3,684 watts. We have some nice straight lines of current hash rate and everything. The average hash rate is saying about 209. So network status, 94 milliseconds to 127. Mining status is fine. We have our fans are averaging about 4,400 RPM here. And our temperatures are looking pretty decent. So let's jump in and see what our hash rates at the pool are. So if we come into here, I'm just going to go to workers, back to dashboard. So it refreshes. We can see 204 is what the current 10-minute average is. Subtract 2, so about 202 terahash. But if we look at that 1 hour average through the entire time, we are about 214.9 terahash, so 215. Subtract the 2 terahash we did have, we are about 212 terahash, about where we should be. So everything is looking on par to what, you know, the manufacturer is saying we should get here. Let's take a look at the wall and see our power, just to come in and see exactly that. Again, this is 3,680 watts. All right, so let's come in here and see how much power we're using at the wall. This is showing 4,242 watts about, and coming into here and subtracting that 472, we do say we're using about 3,752 watts. So more power at the wall than what our dashboard is telling us. And it's looking like, well, running at about 4,400 RPM, we are 80 to 81 decibels. And just like any other ASIC, it's really loud at the initial ramp up, but depending on your ambient temperatures and how much it does have to cool it down, it should be quite a bit quieter. All right, so that was high performance mode. Now I'm gonna run through a whole bunch of modes here. So we can go to power mode here, and it does look like you can choose 0 to 4. Now I don't know if it's 0 is 1 and 4 is 1, or if it's like 1, 2, 3 or what. I'm gonna go through all these, and then eventually after an hour on each, and I get some hash rates and power consumptions, I'll have everything together kind of in a spreadsheet, but it'll give us an idea how this works. So I guess the first one I'm going to do, I'm just going to hit 0 here and save that and see if it does anything. So 0, 0 there. If I go into my overview, are we going to see anything change? So we're just going to wait a few minutes here and see if anything happens. All right, it's been about 5 to 10 minutes or so. I'm going to wait a full hour on this, but we can see hash rate is starting to drop when we're on power mode 0, 0. So we're going to wait to see some average hash rates after a full hour. Remember, you should always check your power consumptions and hash rates after everything has been running for a while, because when you first turn things on, they start hashing, you're actually seeing a lot less power than when they're warmed up and been hashing for an hour or two and so on. So I'm going to let this go for at least an hour, and then we'll grab some numbers and everything. All right, so let's go through the numbers from testing here. So for the Bitcoin miners, the A1566 in high performance mode was about 212 terahash at 3,752 watts. That does work out to be our worst efficiency here at 56.5 gigahash per 1 watt of power used. And this is coming in at a price range around $3,200 or so. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comment section. Now we got our power modes, overclocking and stuff, profiles built within the miner. So I just did two settings here, one at 0, 0 and the other one at 0, 4. That way you can see the shift between them all. Ultimately, it does have power mode 1, 2, and 3 before this as well. So here we have A1566 in power mode 0, 0. This was actually a little bit better hash rate at 222 terahash. We did use a bit more power at 3,765 watts at the wall, but we did get a little better efficiency here at 58.96 gigahash per watt of power used. Then I swapped it over and ran it for at least an hour to get some average hash rates on the 1 hour mark there in power mode 0, 4, which is the most efficient setting. So this will drop your hash rate as well as drop your power. But we can see it went down to, in red, our lowest hash rate here, 168 terahash, which is still, you know, pretty decent hash rate there, coming in at only 2,842 watts, which comes in as our most efficient setting at 59.11. Now, coming in, and you know, a lot of people know about the Nano 3s and solo mining. I just wanted to compare this miner versus the same amount of Nano 3s for the same amount of hash rate to compare in price and so on. So Nano 3 equivalent, you would need 55.5 Nano 3s running at the full 4 terahash high power mode if you do in fact have the good enough power supplies and power cables and so on to get 222 terahash, which was our, you know, pretty nice middle ground number here. That will actually, with the Nano 3 at 140 watts each, result in about 7,770 watts, using over double the power here, and the efficiency is only 28.57 gigahash per watt of power used. And we can see the price to get the same amount of hash rate as one of these is over $5,000 at $5,494, pricing this at only $99 each, which is the next futures there. So that's just kind of a comparison. Obviously, you know, it's a totally different situation. People aren't going to be going out and buying over 50 of these miners to get this amount of hash rate. If you got the infrastructure and power and so on, it makes a lot more sense getting a big ASIC and slapping that on solo, which is what I think I'm going to do. I'm just going to solo mine on this thing, and I'm probably going to run it in power mode of 0, 0, as the efficiency is slightly less than the most, but we're getting getting quite a bit more hash rate here, and it all comes down to the efficiency, how much we are hashing per watt of power. Yes, it's using a lot of power. Maybe you're sending it to hosting. It all depends on your situation and stuff. But this is what I am getting for testing this miner out right now. This is the brand new A1566 Canaan Bitcoin miner. All right, guys, so that pretty much does wrap up this video. I want to point out I have been feeling pretty sick over the past couple days, and this video was recorded about 4 days ago, and I didn't yet have an ending for it. So it's hurting pretty bad to talk right now. Hopefully you guys can even understand me, but we'll be getting better soon. But Bitcoin has been freaking pumping right now, and mining now is pointing this miner at about a little over $11 before any power costs right now, and that is only at 185 terahash. I also want to point out with this miner is actually after 24 hours on 0-0 mode, it wasn't 222 terahash. It came out to be a 24-hour average of 113 terahash. So a little over power mode there, but it wasn't as high as 222. So I did want to point that out after a full day went by on that mode. Anyway, guys, thank you for checking out this video. I will have links down in the description if you're looking for any ASIC miners. I'll see you on the next one. Rabid out.